Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me first of all say how deeply honored I am to rise in this honorable House on the first budget of the next 5 years of the President Irfaan Ali-led government. A budget that is crafted for the people, written by the people, and grounded firmly in realities, hopes, and aspirations of the Guyanese people. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to commend the Honorable Dr. Ashni Singh and his team. The hard-working team from the Ministry of Education that has sit night after night to make sure that we have such a comprehensive budget. Mr. Speaker, each year, and this is my 7th budget, each year I stand here and I expect, as you know, that you never underestimate your opponent, so you prepare. You prepare. However, Mr. Speaker, I am standing here with 2 shadows, not one, two shadows that gave very unimpressive presentations this evening. Unimpressive. Mr. Speaker, let's just start with a few things. You know, Mr. Speaker, when you hear all the loud noise, it is because they are affected somehow and they're tickled somewhere and they have to respond. So that's okay. Let us start with the Honorable Member, Mr. Gordon, from one side of the House. Doctor. And let's start with the fact that the Honorable Member has sought to come to the House and attack the Guyana Online Academy of Learning program. A program that I, along with my colleague, the previous Education Minister, now Local Government and Regional Development Minister Manik Chand, launched on behalf of the President in 2021. And from 2021 to 2025, accomplished more than 54,000 Guyanese signing on to that program. With in 2025, about 6,000 of those Guyanese graduating. But you know what's more interesting, Mr. Speaker, is that the Honorable Member stood there and talked about the atrocity of this program, But, Mr. Speaker, I'll share the profile of the Honorable Member because the Honorable Member got his degree from the JN deemed to be university on the Guyana Online Academy of Learning. Shocking. And has moved on to a PhD on the Guyana Online Academy of Learning. Shocking. Extremely shocking. You never ever bite the hand that you feed from. Isn't that the saying? The Honorable Member would have earned his qualifications that he stands in this National House so proudly of because he says doctor, and he got it from the Guyana Online Academy of Learning that he was fighting. He also sought to speak about the $7 billion that is allocated to the school feeding program. And Mr. Speaker, I'm going to be very straight up. I'm not going to AI it. I'm going to say this. The National School Feeding Program is one of the best initiatives that Guyana has ever seen for the children of this country. And you know why I say that, Mr. Speaker? Because tell it to the little child who's living in the hinterland and is walking to go to school. Tell it to the child who's in a rural area that they're not going to get a meal because the opposition said that it is a horrible initiative. Tell them that because those children attend that school knowing that they will be able to have a meal. They have a breakfast program and there's a hot meals program. And let me say this, there are more than 340-something caterers from the rural and the hinterland communities that are working to ensure that we provide these meals for these children. Not only that, Mr. Speaker, these are ordinary men and women in the communities. Would that have ever been a program that you would have thought of? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, Mr. Speaker, we come to this honorable House with one section of the opposition who had the opportunity for 5 years, from 2015 to 2020, to prove themselves, but now comes and attack a program that has been highly beneficial to the children of this country. Highly beneficial. What is even more is that they zone in on a picture and they place it on social media and they say, look, and this is why I'm going to speak reality, and they say, look, this is what is being offered to the child. No time stamp on it. You don't know whether this is being checked the day after, 3 days later, if somebody's had it in their bag. No, but they want to be able to create a perception out there that is horrible. But let me say this, Mr. Speaker, because I want them to go into the communities and tell the children that they want the school feeding program to be scrapped, that they want the $7 billion out of this budget. No. Let them come and say that. Let them come and say that to the children of this country. Let them come and say that. Mr. Speaker, in our manifesto, which is a 5-year plan, we said that we're going to expand and we are going to look at the nutritional values of this program. That is exactly what we're sitting with the Carnegie School of Home Economics to do. And we are working with them to ensure that that happens. Now, Mr. Speaker, the honorable member also spoke of the TSC and glaring issues that they have. The Teaching Service Commission, and just for his edification, the Teaching Service Commission is an independent body separate from the Ministry of Education, and vacancies arises after their determination. They are a constitutional body. Thank you, the Honorable Gail Teixeira. 1,500 new senior vacancies have been identified and created by the TSC for 2026. So, Mr. Speaker, let's not talk about vacancies being created, etc. Because if the honorable members on that side of the House, and I specifically say there for now, if they were to look back at how many teachers they actually trained to fit into vacancies, it was woeful from 2015 to 2020. So let's not talk about promotions, let's not talk about vacancies being created. Mr. Speaker, the hinterland teachers do receive remote allowances. Allowances, station allowances, and hardship allowances. Mr. Speaker, that continues from 2026 and onwards into the next 5 years. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member said that he's not seeing a breakdown of the schools. But when we come to estimates in the following week, you will have a breakdown of the schools and you will have the opportunity to ask your questions. That's when it will come. This is a budget debate presentation. This is a budget debate presentation. He talked about curriculum in the nursery and the primary schools. But let me say this, Mr. Speaker, that the curriculum in the primary schools, from nursery, primary to secondary schools, we have now incorporated, in addition to what existed, we have now incorporated moral and civic education, a manifesto promise of ours, something that is geared towards discipline, national identity and responsibility. And I will stop here. I will pause here, because when you are in secondary school and heading into secondary school, you're learning about what democracy is. Something that one side of the House knows nothing about, because in 2020, they held the country up for 5 months. We remember that. We remember that. We remember that. The very same people that are speaking about Constitution. The very same. Right. Mr. Speaker, salary increases. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the teachers and salary increases. Mr. Speaker, there is a multi-year agreement that the ministry or the government of Guyana sat down with the Guyana Teachers Union and had collective agreement on the percentages for the years 2024, 2025, and 2026, which is still in existence. Agreed upon by both parties, and that is still in existence. So don't say that the government doesn't listen and the government isn't doing X, Y, Z. Mr. Speaker, what is even more? Let us look at the honorable member talking about the special education needs. This government has always been inclusive. We have always been inclusive, and we have included those persons with special needs and those with disabilities. And this is not a hallmark just of the 2025 government. It has been there for successive People's Progressive Party civic governments. Right now, we just completed the 49th Sense Space or Sense School, and it is not called. And you know, I want to pause here. Anybody knows? Dr. Ashni Singh, you know what is a YAS? You know what is a YAS? Because I heard the honorable member said he saw the YAS being opened. Sir, a YAS is what an itch that you have on your toe or your foot. The YAS school, the YAS Special Education Needs School, derives its name from the jasmine flower. Derives its name from the jasmine flower. So I'd ask you to go and edify yourselves before you come to this honorable house. Now, the honorable member spoke about many things, but the one thing that he didn't speak about, the one thing that he did not speak about, is his own record for tardiness in the schools. Yes, I want you to pause. I want you to pause. The 8th of September, 45 minutes late. The 9th of September, 26 minutes late. The 10th of September, 20 minutes late. The 11th of September, 45 minutes late. The 15th of September, 40 minutes late. The 22nd of September, 55 minutes late. The 24th of September, 35 minutes late. The 26th of September, 45 minutes late. The 30th of September, 20 minutes late. Our children are being taught by someone who is in school and talking about education being the priority. You are the priority in the schools to ensure that our students learn. You are. You are. You are. Lead by example. Lead by example. Lead by example. Mr. Speaker, the Bedford Walkton Primary School, which seemed to be a hot topic in this house tonight. That school, I went to myself on several occasions, and we ensured that we had someone go to that school and fix the issues. But what is even more important, Mr. Speaker, is that I established a relationship with the parent, the president, and the Parent Teachers Association, who on today's date can message me on any given day to say that this is what we're experiencing, and we go and we fix the issues from the Ministry of Education, because that's what the government of Guyana does. That's what the People's Progressive Party Civic does. We go and we fix issues once we know of them. Now you have schools, you have infrastructure, and I'm standing here and I'm not going to deny that there are issues with the infrastructure. They have issues with the infrastructure. I'm not going to deny that. But here's what, Mr. Speaker. Here is what, Mr. Speaker. Once an issue is reported to us, we will go and fix it. Now, each one of us live in a home, and that home may have a broken cupboard, it might have a broken window, it may get a broken washroom, and it needs fixing. It is the same concept with a school and another building that may have 400 children in it or 300 children using it every day, and it needs maintenance. That is a fact. But we are willing to fix it, Mr. Speaker, and that's why allocations are in this budget and in the regional budget. That's why it's there. That's why it's there. So don't come and make everything a problem. The Brigham School, it was spoken of how a state-of-the-art school was built and it had leaking. But Mr. Speaker, what they didn't come to tell you was that they already found out that the tap was left on a Friday and ran over on the weekend, and that is how it got wet. That's what they didn't tell you. But Mr. Speaker, they want to mislead the entire nation. They want to, it is a ceiling, my dear. When it comes from the top, it goes into the ceiling. So understand how that works. Ceiling of the bottom flat. What is wrong with that? So that is what you need to understand. Now, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Coretta McDonald, the Honorable member, you know, year after year I sat in this house as well and looked at the Honorable member being the former shadow of education. And I've watched, Honorable member, I want you to hear this. I have watched year after year wisdom chasing this honorable member, but she's always been too swift. Always been too swift. Always. Always. Expenditure is based on every fiscal year. We have a 5-year plan, and every fiscal year we invest money in that space to ensure that we will be able to deliver on our policies and our programs, beginning with 2026 for the next 5 years. 5 years. Mr. Speaker, she also commented on the budget, the budget of different years. Of course, there were wrong figures. All of the percentages were wrong. And this is the second largest budget. And it has always been the second largest budget because priority has always been placed on the education sector by the People's Progressive Party civic government. Always. And I want to remind the honorable member, I want to remind the honorable member of her own words, and this is the Guyana Times, September 18, 2018, when she made a statement and said that life for teachers under the People's Progressive Party civic is always better. Is always better, and I couldn't agree with her more. I couldn't agree with her more. So the honorable member herself spoke about that. Mr. Speaker, this particular member wisdom has always been too slow for her. Mr. Speaker, this government and the People's Progressive Party civic has worked to ensure in the last 5 years and again in 2026 that there is universal access to education. That means that we will necessarily have universal access in primary schools and secondary schools. When our administration returned to office in 2020, we continued where we left off in 2015, as not one single secondary school had been started or completed during the APNU-AFC tenure in government. Since then, we have advanced access to education through the construction of 66 nurseries, 34 primaries, and 33 secondary schools, major rehabilitation and expansion of 45 nurseries, 61 primaries, and 32 secondary schools. Mr. Speaker, my colleague and the former minister will be credited with a lot of the heavy lifting that was done from 2020 to 2025 in the education sector. We commenced the rehabilitation and expansion of 19 dormitories towards ensuring that our students have a safe and comfortable environment while accessing education. Reduce overcrowding with new classrooms, laboratories, and learning pieces. Mr. Speaker, Guyana has already secured universal access to primary education, and with the completion of several key secondary schools in 2026, we will achieve universal access to secondary education. And that is a huge benefit. That is a huge benefit. In 2026, this government has allocated $24.3 billion to complete more than 40 schools across Guyana, while continuing rehabilitation and maintenance of existing facilities. Mr. Speaker, a significant focus of expansion remains our hinterland and riverine communities. And these are for our Amerindian brothers and sisters. The Minister of Amerindian Affairs is here. I want her to hear Regions 1, 7, 8, and 9. We will have completed Kwabana, Hosororo, Warramuri, Matthews Ridge, Jawala, Philippi, Isano, Karau, Monkey Mountain, Maikobi, Popinang, Napi, Masara, Marawano, Tabachinga, Karasabai, Katoka, Yupakari, Karaudano, and Shulinam. And these together will provide 6,760 new secondary spaces, bringing quality secondary education closer to home for thousands of children across Guyana.
That's correct.
Mr. Speaker, tertiary education. Education is treated as a continuous journey from nursery to tertiary. Talent must never be wasted because of cost or of distance. Over $3 billion in university student loans have been written off for more than 4,000 students. More than 4,000 students, pay attention. $3 billion of student loan has been written off. Tuition fees at the University of Guyana were abolished, making the University of Guyana free of cost from January of 2025. Since the tuition was removed, UG applications rose from 26,000 to over 26,000 in 2025 to 2026. Applications were only 17,800 in the previous academic year. When that cost was removed, ambition rose. The University of Guyana receives in the 2026 allocation $14.5 billion. Higher education is now being decentralized from Georgetown. Medicine and engineering programs are expanding to regions 2, 3, and 6. $1 billion is allocated for this expansion in 2026. 130 students are already enrolled in new engineering programs. Higher education should not be a tongue privilege alone, Mr. Speaker, or an urban privilege. It must be extended to the rural and the hinterland areas. Tertiary education supports health, infrastructure, and workforce development. Training Guyanese professionals is a national development policy for the People's Progressive Party Civic. And as per manifesto promise going back to the Gold Scholarship, from 2026, there will be an unlimited number of students being placed on that program, approved on that program. Mr. Speaker, just last week, 14,064 scholarships were awarded under the Gold Program. These span the full range of opportunities, including 4,960 vocational certificates, 4,452 Grow Awards, and 1,761 master's degree, amongst others. Mr. Speaker, one of the best initiatives that the People's Progressive Party Civic has implemented is the Because We Care cash grant to every child, every school child, or every child registered in the school system. In 2020, and let's go back, the Honorable Coretta McDonald spoke about the $85,000 and she broke it down and said it was not enough. I mean, could you believe that? The very same honorable member who is a part of an administration that from 2015 to 2020, not removed, they snatched They snatched that cash grant away from children. Snatched it and comes to this honorable house and did not put any other thing in place that compares to that. That compares to that. Stands in this honorable house and says to this honorable house, that's not enough. But we promise the people, based on our 5-year plan, that we will restore it and we will increase it to $50,000 for that grant and $5,000 uniform grant, making it $55,000. And we also extended it to the private schools. In 2025, we campaigned on a promise that we will not only maintain that, but we will increase it over the 5 years to $100,000 per a child in private and public schools. Introducing as well in 2026 a transportation grant for the benefit of these children, starting from 2026 with $20,000, making it from 2026 and in this year's budgetary allocation of over $12 billion, the sum of $85,000 for a child. Do you know what that means to a single parent who has one child, who has more than one child? Do you have any idea what that means to that parent? I don't think you do, because you would have never taken it away from 2015 to 2020. You would have never done that. You would have never done that. But we are a government that doesn't take away. We add. We add value to people's lives. In addition to that, this government also ensured that there was a grant that was given to teachers. I heard the honorable member standing in this house and saying that teachers are forced to purchase from their own pockets. And it is because teachers reached out to us and said we didn't want to do that, that we want to be able to have that, a cash or a grant, and have the necessary items in our school be provided for. This government and the People's Progressive Party civic government was caring enough and compassionate enough to ensure that that happened by giving those teachers that grant. By giving those teachers that grant. And that will be maintained in this year's budget and the next 5 years. $17 billion was placed, $17.5 billion. And this is what I want, this is the point I want to make, Mr. Speaker. That when a mother, whether it's a single mother or you have a nuclear family, and they have a budget to work with, or they have an income, they have to budget that income every month to make it work. To make it work. You'll put aside XYZ for your purchase of food items, whatever it is. Now, Mr. Speaker, it is the same way a country has to operate, because you have to have sustainability. You have to have sustainability. If you are going to give a grant to children, you have to ensure that next year and the next 4 years that you are able to do so. We are not a government that will take all the oil resources, hand it out, and then next week and the following week and next year you have absolutely nothing to get. You have nothing to get. You have to manage it. You have to manage it, and that's exactly why we are having, that's exactly why we placed in a budget that was carefully crafted to ensure for sustainability and prosperity of our citizens. That is why. Mr. Speaker, in 2025, from the Because We Care cash grant alone, 13,000 students benefited from this cash grant. 13,000. Families will save over $850 million. $850 million just because of the fact that this government has placed that direct cash transfer into their hands. This is putting people first. This is putting our children first. Mr. Speaker, in addition to direct cash transfers, we've also made available resources such as textbooks or access to textbooks to all the students in our primary and secondary level.
Your primary
Speaker.
30 minutes is up. You need an extension to conclude.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask that the honourable member be given 5 minutes more to
Mr.
conclude.
Speaker, coming into office in
conclude.
2025, within his 100 days of being in office, the President launched the Guyana Digital School, a flagship program for modernizing the education sector. This will benefit every single student from grades 7 to 11 in the secondary schools, ensuring that the content and the teaching that they will receive will reassure and ensure their success at the CSEC exams. And Mr. Speaker, this is not just to modernize our education sector, but it's also giving access to those areas within which we were not able to do before. It is giving access, and that is what this government, the hallmark of this government in the education sector is about, ensuring that we give access to all of our children. Now, Mr. Speaker, it provides free, high-quality secondary education aligned with the national curriculum. Instruction is delivered by quality teachers through modern digital platforms. And in its first month, more than 22,000 students registered from Guyana as well as our CARICOM countries, other CARICOM countries. We have mathematics, English, biology, chemistry, physics, social studies, IT, and Spanish. Mr. Speaker, in addition to all of these interventions, which we will be maintaining in 2026 with the budget that has been allocated to us, we are going to ensure as well that we continue the math intervention program. And this is very important because we talk about the outcome and learning outcomes. The math intervention program has allowed Guyana, and as a matter of fact, the interventions that have been made in the last 5 years through financial resources as well as other resources, has enabled Guyana in 2025 to be the top performing country in the Caribbean at CSEC. With the maths intervention program, we were able to have a 5% improvement in mathematics. Do you know what that means? It means over 500 students more were able to pass mathematics. That's what it means. Now in September of 2025, we expanded that program to 18 locations and 18 schools in the hinterland area to ensure that they have access to it, to that program. So, Mr. Speaker, there are many things that's happening. In November of 2025, under my leadership, I ensure that we launch the anti-bullying and anti-violence campaign for schools. The anti-bullying and anti-violence campaign for schools. And the honorable member spoke the other day, just before me. She spoke about a video that was circulating just after I went to Zeeburg School. And I want to say that that video was from 4 years ago. So let's not come to this honorable house and mislead the people of Guyana. Let's not come. But you know what, Mr. Speaker? If instead of calling out the Ministry of Education for bullying, why don't we? Because it's not a Ministry of Education problem alone. It is a national issue, and it is an issue that needs to be dealt with by all categories of this country, all categories of persons from this country. So, Mr. Speaker, we have many interventions that are here, but Mr. Speaker, in the next year, you will see the allocations. And I want to say, as the geographic MP for region number 5, there will be a new school being built in Bath Experiment, to take off the overcrowding of the Bath Primary School. What is even more is that Region 5 remains the largest agricultural producing region in this country and contributes heavily to food security under the leadership of our president. Under the leadership of our president. So, Mr. Speaker, education is poised to continue with its progress. We will see the outcomes for our children. We will see the development for our children. We will see the improvements for our teacher, the improvements for our infrastructure, and we will also see safer environment in which it will be conducive for them to learn. So, Mr. Speaker, with that, I thank you very much for the presentation of Budget 2026.
Thank you very